Hello guys, welcome back. Let's go ahead and continue from where we left off. Friday's son and Hoshi's son are absent today because they both have colds. The weather is changing, so it's easy to get sick. Make sure you cover yourselves when you go to sleep, okay? Okay. Oh, they live together, so I guess they caught it together. If Higurashi is supposed to perform as a shrine maiden on the day we're done, gosh, I hope she'll be okay, I hope. We're playing to have lots of fun at the festival. I hope they recover by tomorrow somehow. Hey, do you want to go see them on our way home? Maybe we can bring them something healthy for them to eat, too. We don't need to. By the way, can you two stop by this old man's house today? Mion usually enjoys the ideas of bringing food when people when they're sick. Whatever reason, she's a little curt today. Actually, she's been nothing but differences this morning. Even when I talked to her thoughts have been somewhere else. Now she's asking Brandon and me to stop by her at her house. Your house, Michan, what for? Well, I need to talk to you about something important. I can't tell you right now, though. Mion seemed calmer than usual, which told me that it was something very serious. There are always lots of patients running into the clinic just before lunchtime because of that lunchtime at the clinic is always later than normal people's. It's just a short break, though, after our afternoon shift begins right away. The staff are enjoying their break, eating the delivery lunches. They basically eat anywhere they want as long as patients can't see them, and it's not a place we need to keep sterile. Because it's hot and humid, the main room with the air conditioner ends up being a popular place. The staff all eat their takeout lunches there. As I'm the director of this clinic, they might feel uncomfortable eating with me around. So I usually eat my lunch in the director's office out of consideration for them. Today I ordered lunch from a soba shop. I got an extra large serving of Matsuribayashi. That is, for whatever reason, they just call the dish an extra large. They make it ordering it complicated, since if I order an extra large and a kitsune udon, they just deliver an extra large kitsune udon instead. But is this really a large? It looks more like a regular size to me. As I recall, the owner of the restaurant has hurt her hip, so she must be having a hard time keeping things running. I was still thinking about that when Takano came in. She was carrying a large size order in her hands. Apparently she ordered a regular Matsuribayashi and I grabbed the wrong one by mistake. I would have, so. Is it easy to confuse them, isn't it? They should use some kind of mark, you know? I agree. For example, they could put a flag like the one on the kids' meal that says large size. Takano must have liked that idea. She left for a while. Would you like to join me? I invited her to sit on the sofa. Are you sure? Thank you, but can you turn the air conditioning on just a little? Sure, sorry about that. Here we go. Come to think of it, I haven't really talked too much with her. We were rather distant from each other, partly over the guilt of the organization becoming the Area Institute. So with that, in our respective positions, we each had a turn agreement not to pry too deeply into each other. Since our attitudes towards our research are different, we might never mingle before. So chatting over lunch is a good way to get closer to her. I wonder what she likes to talk about while eating. I guess I should start a peaceful conversation. Don't want her to go off on my tapeworms rather much after all. Now, while I try to come up with the topic, she started talking instead. That flag on the kids smell like very stacked memories. Do you think they still have those flags, though? I don't know. It's one of those things that endure, so it's possible they will keep having flags on kids' meals even in the far future. Even in flight kids' meals on the spaceship will have a flag on it. That sounds interesting. I wonder if this kids collect those flags in the future. Flags, did you collect them? Oh, did you do that when you were a kid? Collected flags from kids' meals? No way. When I was young, only rich kids could have meals like that. My family couldn't afford it. That's not true. My family was poor, but when we went to the mall, we had our lunch at a restaurant there. Time for me to go to a mall meant having a kids' meal. So whenever my parents went to the mall without me, I got very upset. Your childhood sounds very happy. But when they went to go to the mall without me one day, they got into an accident and died. Until I got a call about it, I was really upset. My parents were going to the mall without me, and I was sure they were having a meal there by themselves. As it happened, I only needed one more flag to make my collection complete. Collecting 25 of them was my goal. I was so upset that I couldn't complete my collection. Now it's awful, huh? It must have been horrible to lose our parents at the age when she's still interested in collecting flags from kids' meals. It's obviously still a painful memory for her. I see, I didn't know. By the way, is that why you became a doctor? Why, oh well, I aim to become a doctor because of... because of reasons involving my family, so I thought the same was true for you. I earned my medical license because it was necessary to draw closer to the Higurashi syndrome. It might be rude to put it this way, but I only obtained my license as a byproduct of pursuing my research. How interesting, even when she was still at medical school, she even already knew about the Higurashi syndrome. By the way, before I took on this job, I didn't know anything about the syndrome. Where did you find out about it? I was told you read something about it while you were looking into the late Dr. Takano's documents. I'm impressed that you already started to research it while you were at school. Studying took up all my time when I was a student. That's really incredible. Actually, I became familiar with Higurashi syndrome long before that. When she mean, how old was she when she first found out about the syndrome? In fact, what did she become familiar with it at all? Just like the Toko-chan and Higurashi, I didn't have any relatives, so I was sent to an orphanage. It was a horrible place. Do you remember how there was a flood of war orphans back then? I was truly in an awful orphanage built solely to gather up those children and bring in government subsidies. I don't know. Anyway, when I escaped from there, I was rescued by my grandfather, Dr. Takano. She actually lived with Dr. Takano. I understand now why you were familiar with those research documents at a young age. But why do you keep it a secret? Well, political reasons. It's one thing to request funding for a research on a mysterious disease, but it's another thing to request it for a research project on my late grandpa's. I see finally a question is answered. The admiration he's shown when he discussed Dr. Takano was always more than just a respect for a fellow researcher. Still, since you respect him in that much, he must have been a wonderful doctor with many genuine virtues. I don't know about genuine virtues. He died alone of an illness with nobody around to understand him. He preferred to be alone, which was a bad habit of his, as well he couldn't find anyone who would support him. Still, he had you for an excellent assistant, didn't he? Speaking of which, your family is read the same way his is, isn't it? Yes, it's not my real family name. I took my grandfather's out of respect. I actually wanted to read it the same way, but I thought it could get complicated when explaining it to my clients, so I ended up using different characters. Now I see why the connection between their two last names. They also reveal the connection between first names Hifumi and Mio too. She doesn't need to tell me anything more than that. She lost her parents when she was young, and Dr. Takano took her in and loved her as if she was his own child. To show her love and respect, she decided to call him her grandfather. Now I know that's the reason why she's devoted herself to researching Higurashi syndrome. I now understand she must feel knowing her research is soon to be terminated. Rika-chan said that she was hurt. Although I didn't know anything about it, I may have heard her before. I only cared about the treatment and extermination and didn't care about anything else until today. She must have considered that blasphemous towards her grandfather, and now I know why she became aggressive every time I expressed how I felt. After she told her research would be terminated, she stayed up all night and gathered up lots of documents. She went to Tokyo and requested an extension, thought depending on anyone else, and that request was rejected. The documents she used are now in a box in her underground storage. She must have exerted a lot of effort to put them together, even someone without any knowledge of her research could easily understand what she was trying to say. However, it looked like some of those documents weren't even opened, and some had marks that told me they weren't treated the way documents are supposed to be. I'm sure some pages had absorbed her tears without me ever knowing. I heard from Tokyo that Takano-san had left a terrible impression with the board of directors. It's not easy to overturn a bad impression. In other words, she can never request an extension on her research ever again. I was there when she found out about it. I was there when she found out she could no longer continue her grandfather's research, even though she must have promised them that she would have completed it. Are you going to continue research on your own after the Area Institute shuts down? By the time the Area Institute closes, the Higurashi syndrome will have been eradicated. Should I preserve the pathogen in a petri dish? Couldn't have someone affected the researcher on my own? Without equipment, funding, or a lab, should I continue the research holed up in the study field with the smell of formalin and never recognized or acknowledged by anyone, just like my grandfather, all so someone can ridicule it? What would you do? Would you have a loser like me who lacks the youth and energy anymore to continue it? Tomotaka-san told me once that the institute was supposed to be the Takano Institute, but our clients didn't like the idea of a young woman heading the facility, and that's why I was invited. And I explained why she's been unfriendly since the day we met. It must have been blaspheming to her to see me go on about Higurashi syndrome and decide on a research plan according to my values and morals. To Takano, the syndrome is her grandfather. She must feel his presence when she's researching it. And that's why the reason why she often stays at the institute until late at night, though it makes him and Doug's annoyed as they serve as security here. Would you like to drink some of this soba broth? Ah, yes, please. Her shoulders look fragile to me for the first time. And I'm sure of Rika-chan's story. Takano-san held an indescribable sadness within her. And if someone approached her pretending to understand, she might just fall for it. Because of my position, anything I say to her will only hurt her more. Probably sometimes words can harm people no matter how they're used. The fact that I still spoke up showed how little experience I had in life. we could at least get the research you'd like to pursue a little more of our future budget. We managed to gain another 3 years from them at least, so we can give those years our best. It was all a slip. Even as I spoke, I started to regret trying to say anything. I appreciate the sentiment, but it's even harder to watch someone fall ill in way over 3 long years. If I remember right, Dr. Takano came down with acute dementia and chose to commit suicide while his mind was still functional. Out of despair at his inability to continue his research further. My verbal slip had made her remember a painful memory and hurt her even more. He went into a coma and I had to make a decision as to whether to turn off his life support or not. Hey, Dr. Ari, if you were the doctor in charge of the patient, who would you have pulled the plug? You wouldn't pull the plug yourself, would you? Takano-san asked me that if it was a normal question. She only expected to hear one answer. If I was put in that position, then when the time came, I'd probably let his remaining family do it. That's what I thought. There's no way someone wouldn't be there for their family's final moments, so I would be here for the final moments of the Inumzawa syndrome. No matter what, someone knocked on the door and I heard the voice of one of the staff members. Director, afternoon shifts are beginning. Please get ready. Oh, okay. I'll be right there. I'll clean up. Why don't you go? Lots of elderly people are waiting to chit-chat with you. Takano-san laughed, but I knew that laugh was trying to conceal her anguish. I'm not close to her personally, but she is my partner here at the clinic. I've been trying to avoid getting close to her, but maybe that was a mistake. If I had listened to her more, maybe I could have eased her pain a little. But it's too late. Tamanaka-san is conducting an investigation to prove her innocence. Is she guilty or not? Either way, her heartache remains. After Ari left, Takano sat down on the sofa again, stared at nothing for a while. Then she got up and picked up the phone on the desk. This is Takano. Is Okanogi there? It's me. I was going to ask you to start on the 20th, but please begin observing R today instead. What difference does it make? Are you going to tell me that it's too hot to start today? Yes, please do. We only have 5 days. You better be careful, more than careful, okay? Yeah, alright. Okay, goodbye. Okanogi put down the phone aside. Although it's his job to do whatever Takano wants, he couldn't help but complain about getting such an order on such an extremely hot day. Of course, if he complained, Takano would spit back voices of much reproach. Okanogi was sitting in the office of Okanogi Gardeners, a dummy company. As it happened, they regularly did gardening in Himazawa, if only so that nobody would get suspicious to see their uniforms and fan around. Good grief, I give up. Call in Nightingale. Skylark, the vacations are cancelled. The princess has given us an order to start observing her today. We'll have to move the schedule up by 3 days. The first day was Heron. Let's go with a group of 4, including 1 telephone observer, 1 telephone backup, 1 residence lookout, and 1 residence backup. Heron leader, you'll be at the command post. Also, we're stepping up our sabotage on the telephone station too. That would have been Nightingale's job, but it'll take a whole day for them to get here. So we'll use Phoenix instead. Phoenix 7, gather the construction team and finish by tonight. Can you do it? Of course. All my men are well trained. The Mountain Dogs are different from a regular battle unit. They're a technical squad formed from specialists in different fields of espionage. They were covert operations for sabotaging telephone stations like Okanogi just ordered. One's for wiretapping, intelligence gathering, information manipulation, establishing networks of public institutes, and many other various specialized fields. They belong to the Self-Defense Force, some of fire departments, and some are from police departments, and some are civil engineers. Of course, they have some experts in combat as well. Okanogi is one of the combat experts, and he didn't expect too much from the engineers. While they all had gone through some basic training, what they were capable of was child's play compared to what an expert can do. Okanogi is the leader of a unit made up of mostly members who can't even do 100 push-ups. Really, that was the only complaint he had. He'd rather have been put in charge of a bloodhound, but somehow became the leader of this strange unit, maybe because of his cautious yet courageous personality. Since combat was his expertise, Okanogi wished deeply for combat. During the kidnapping incident 5 years ago, the plan was for the resisting criminals to leave the hostage behind on the scene and run after the police stormed in. He recalled the extremely frustrating memory of his combat with that plainclothes officer. That fat old man was acting so arrogantly, but he could have taken him down in a matter of seconds. He could have just broke his neck. He could have turned him around and snapped. It would have been so easy for him. He remembered a young policeman too. He shot him in the shoulder, but he could have shot at his ear. He was told to go easy on him, so that was the best he could do. He thought of firing a second shot, but there just wasn't time. So the last shot he fired was that reluctant one. Okanogi couldn't believe that such a pathetic battle was his last combat job. Regardless, he had to continue to train so that he was ready at any time. Now that the operation had begun, he was hoping there would be a battle for him to fight. He didn't even need to fire a shot. He didn't even need to punch anyone. And all Okanoki wanted was a battle that satisfied his pride, nothing more. Yes, one moment please. Commander, there's a phone call for you. I don't know if it's for the commander or the president, though. He's also the president of Okanoki Gardeners. Because of that, the member of the Mountain Dogs often called him that. Just a minute, I'll get my accent back. And what? Really? How about that, huh? And who is it anyways? It's a woman. She says her name is Nomura. She's asking for President Okanoki. That's for the commander. I'll take it in my office. Please transfer it over. Rattle, rattle, crash. I heard a noise which sounded like many buckets crashing down. It's probably a noise from one of Satoko-chan's traps. According to her trap map, anyone going near the wiretap at shack will set up a trap that makes a loud noise. That must have been it just now. I scouted around the shack last night before the girls left. The shack is very secluded and is located in a blind spot where nobody is likely to go, so this makes me something important. It makes like start the observation of Rika-chan. I can't let them notice the girls aren't home. I'll definitely call and come by to confirm they're here. So I have to make sure they think the girls are sick in bed and that they don't hear their phone or their doorbell. The curtains are closed so they can't see us inside the house, but to be certain their beds are stuffed to make it look like they're sleeping. However, I have to begin to be more careful from now on. I can't let them notice I'm staying here. For that matter, I have to make sure I can act when something happens. The phone rang suddenly, and just as I expected, they're calling to see if anyone's home. They're already aware that they didn't go to school, so they're probably assuming that they're home sick in bed. I'm sure they want proof of that. The phone rang for a long time, which convinced me that it was indeed a call from the Mountain Dogs. If there was no answer on the phone, the next would come by the house. They'll pretend to be a mailman or a neighbor and knock on the door. But I don't even need to answer. If the girls are too sick to answer the phone, then they won't notice to knock on the door either. The increased hassle means a higher risk of the discovery, but on the other hand, it also proves the enemy is closing in on us. It was actually better for me since I could measure the severity of the situation. Besides, Ari is our ally, and he already knows Rika-chan is somewhere else. He's supposed to tell him that he came by because he hears that Rika-chan and Satoko-chan missed school, and that the two of them were in bed and should be left alone for a while. He was supposed to say that. They won't doubt Ari. They'll believe him. You could call this an advanced level of mutual deceit. They'll believe that they're deceiving Ari, but in reality, Ari is deceiving them. However, they're professionals and we're a bunch of amateurs. Well, not me at least. Maybe I'm not an exception. I don't know what they got until I come face to face with them. Our conditions aren't even. We're leading by a tiny bit because we made the first move. Once that's gone, we don't stand a chance. I promise Rika-chan not trust her unconditionally, so even without proof, I'm ready to fight, but I can't beat this conspiracy by myself. And to gain help from the others, Tamatake has to find proof. Tamatake is in charge of the first attack. That means he's in the most danger too. It's understandable that Rika-chan kept warning him to be very careful. He should have had started his investigation as early as last night. If that's the reason why they began observing Rika-chan, I can only pray for his safety and the success of the investigation. Alright guys, I'm gonna take a few minute break here. Okay guys, I am back. I heard a voice. Ari arrived. Satoko-chan, Rika-chan, I'm here to give you an examination. I heard footsteps coming up the stairs, a quiet knock. I'm alone, don't worry. We have to keep it down. This house is already under observation. I let Ari in and closed the door quickly. How are you? It must be getting hot in here since you can't open the window, so I brought something for you. He handed me a plastic bag, a can, ice cream, cans of juice and snacks, and even beer. Well, this obviously isn't for Rika-chan. I feel he's being a little careless, but I'm grateful. So how's everything? I heard a noise from the wiretapping shack earlier, and their phone rang for a long time shortly afterwards. I'm sure they found out that the girls missed school today and called to check. Has Rika-chan asked anybody to come? Asked you to come check on Rika-chan? Yes, the Cardinals told me to go check since they missed school and they haven't come by the clinic. I knew it. You think she's suspicious about their absence? No, I think it's something to do with the Tamatake-san starting this investigation. Even if it doesn't, this may give him a chance to find out something. Either way, it's already begun, hasn't it? Yeah, it's more than likely. I don't know if our enemies are Takano and the Mountain Dogs or somebody else. Either way, that somebody has started to take action. I can't help but think of this series of mysterious deaths. The first 2 years were just a coincidence, but starting with the third, I think the Takano became intrigued and started expecting something to happen on the night of Watanagashi. Watanagashi is the day after tomorrow. It would be a perfect opportunity for them to do something. She's aiming for Rika-chan on the 5th year running, and this Takano is a frightening woman. What Rika-chan said about Takano-san, I think it's all true. I just found out today, but she was just adopted by Dr. Takano, the one who discovered Hinamizawa syndrome. The same pronunciation, huh? I see. To her, continuing to research the syndrome was like a promise she made to her beloved grandfather. But as the project will be terminated, it's almost like they're spitting on his grave. That's exactly what Rika-chan said, isn't it? Yes, also Dr. Kano said something else. She compared a dying patient in a coma to the project that's been going to end in 3 years. She says that family members have the right to turn off the switch of the life support machine. If the project is being terminated anyway, Miya Takano, who considers herself a family member of the late Dr. Takano, should be the one to terminate it. Yes, I think that's what she meant. We're gathering the circumstantial evidence we need. Takano was in fact our enemy. Ari had been reluctant to accept it yesterday, but now he believes what Rika-chan has said is true. We need Tamataka-san to find proof that shows Takano-san is running something. Then we could call in subjugation, I don't know, squad to arrest all those involved. Takano has the mountain dogs working for her. This squad can down even them? Yes, I don't know anything about them, but there's another unit called the Bloodhounds. They're a combat unit deployed in the case of a true emergency. The mountain dogs are more of an intelligence unit for the covert operation, so they'll be likely far outmatched. If this subjugation squad was organized to counter off the chance of rebellion by the Secret Research Institute, they must be quite powerful. So you're saying our condition for victory are summoning these bloodhounds at the Hinamizawa? That would be correct. However, one of my concerns is that the emergency manual contains passages authorizing the massacre of the village to preserve secrecy. I'm still worried that even if the bloodhounds are brought in, they'll destroy all evidence, including the village itself, which wouldn't be any different. No way, they wouldn't. If the enemy's attempt to trigger the execution of the emergency manual, that doesn't make sense. If this conspiracy is caused by faction and fighting, when our Institute's clients want to resolve the conflict quickly or quietly, they should have raided the enemies and settle everything while the villagers are still confused as to what's going on. I know this because I've done similar jobs myself. They'll pass you like a gale and complete their operation swiftly. A unit capable of pulling off that against the mountain dogs must be very powerful. We'll have to wait till we hear from Tamataka-san. Yes, this will be a battle of endurance, but once it lights up, it'll become a blitzkrieg. I don't know German now. This will be a hard battle without the ships in pace. It's reassuring to us that you're the enemy in the midst, but at the same time, you're in a very vulnerable position. Please don't let your guard down. The moment we decided to be Rika-chan's allies, we became their enemies. I understand. That phone at this house is, of course, being wiretapped, so I already had to come over to communicate with me, but that won't work in an emergency. A telephone is still better than that case. For those instances, I put together a memo for Irie. There's a method for communicating over a phone that's been bugged. It's something I came up with that I'm the necessity of once. What's this? A method for calling in case of emergency. Please make sure the enemy doesn't get a hold of it. If you're in danger, swallow it. The phone being tapped, so how can we make a call? If you pick up the phone, even if you don't see anything, it might get suspicious. We could communicate even without me picking up the phone. There's a little trick to it, but we can at least send across what's important, and you are the only one who can do it since you'll be the first person who notices the enemy's movements. Alright, then how do I do it? And send a memo. Let me explain briefly. We'll use the ringtone. When you make a call, normally you won't let the phone ring over a minute. We'll use that to communicate. If the phone rings for a minute, that means it's dangerous to leave. If the phone rings for a minute and a half, that means it's an emergency. Head to Sonozaki residence. The difference is 30 seconds. You can look at those memo for other messages you can send, but please memorize the two at least. My life depends on it. The message that lets me know my life is in danger is the shorter call, but if it's too short, I'll get confused with regular phone calls. That's why to signal me, he's supposed to hang up the phone within 3 seconds first, and then place the emergency call. The reason why I use such a large difference of time is to make sure there's no misunderstanding. The tone the caller hears and the rings the receiver sends out are a little different. I don't want that little difference to change the message, which is why they had to be 30 seconds apart. A short first ring in 1 minute means run. A minute and a half means to head to where Rika-chan is. Okay, I got it. A little troublesome, I know, but this is just for emergencies. Please remember it. Yes, I understand. When danger strikes, I'll handle communication. It's also one more signal I want you to remember. It's not a very good code, but please don't forget it's just the same. For this one, you don't need to do one short ring. You just let the phone ring for over 3 minutes. It's probably best to just place the call and leave it. What does that mean? Contact in danger. Further contact impossible. So that's to tell you that I'm in danger then. Yes. In case of an emergency, call this house, leave the phone off the hook, and hide somewhere safe. Even so, it's very hard to anticipate when yourself will be in danger. You'll lose your chance to call while you're thinking, I'm still fine, or I'm probably fine. If you sense something odd, that's an emergency. Knowing the seriousness of the conspiracy, they won't hesitate to kill us. Please be very careful. I understand, but if that happens, what are you gonna do? It depends on the situation, but I'll probably have to leave the house. If you're in danger, then Rika-chan is in danger too. I'll head to the Sansaki residence and join Rika-chan. But this is the only worst case scenario. I'm not sure if it will actually happen, so please don't be nervous. Relax, okay? But also be very careful, right? That's right. I already nodded deeply. It's almost time. Something's about to happen. Alright, I'm gonna take a, I don't need a few minute break. Okay, let's keep going. So that's it. Does anyone have any questions? I have plenty of questions. This could easily be one of those well-planned pranks. What I heard is just extraordinary. But right now, it's a bad idea to ask questions just out of curiosity. That would be a waste of time. Miana's already explained everything about the events surrounding Rika-chan. Well, I have a few things to ask myself as the successor to the head of Sanzaki family, because all this has something to do with the series of mysterious deaths. But I won't go into that for now. All in all, it's a good idea to come into my house. You could survive a nuclear war in here in our basement. There's electricity and a telephone there, too. Of course, we have plenty of food, too. If the mountain dogs are really that tough, then this house is the only place in this village that's safe from them. I'm sorry to have involved all of you in this. Rika-chan apologizes from the bottom of our heart. Rika-chan has been dealing with this strange disease, the Hinomazawa syndrome, as well as these suspicious Tokyo people, all by herself until today. She's been trying not to get us involved, and that's why she's dealt with them all by herself. We can all imagine that she must be feeling. None of us can even think of anything to say. The silence went on for a while, but then Hanyu clapped Rika-chan on her back. Rika, you've been apologizing so much since yesterday. If you apologize one more time, you'll have to treat me with our cream puff every day. Besides, we all feel bad, don't we? Am I wrong, Kichi? And you suddenly addressed me. I could tell from her eyes that she was expecting something from me. Right, my role is to act as the flint for the other club members. It's my job to be burned strong and bright red to get everything excited. What I've been doing, just sitting around. That's right, Rika-chan. We never even thought all this could be true, so we're just shocked for the moment. But we're all thinking things are getting interesting, right, guys? So Toko, this right here is the real deal. You've got some good traps lying in the wait, don't you? I know you've been hiding amazing ones for special occasions like these. This is a perfect chance to try them out, don't you think? Oh, you should be grateful for my presence. I don't know who they are, but if it's alright to get serious, then I won't hesitate to launch the countless miraculous traps I refrained from using on our club members. That's right, your traps come with me-chan's seal of approval that can chase away even a real army. Well, so Toko aside, you're pretty merciless yourself, Rena. You're usually easygoing, but I know your true power. You know, when you get serious, you might be the most powerful of us all. You sure are something. I don't even think I can defeat you. Oh, stop. Your explosive impact is incredible too, Kichi-kun. Your power can defeat a fate that I have no chance against. If Kichi-kun is a furious red flame, then Reina's son is quite a blue one. Hey, that's a good one. The burning red ranger, Kichi Bear, the burning blue ranger, Reina Rigu. This is our chance to show the world what we've got. We're powerful. We're a powerful team with a powerful leader here, right, Mion? We're already powerful individually. And then when we gather, we're something. Invincible. That's our club, right, guys? You know, I kept quiet thinking it might be imprudent, but I've actually been thinking. This is getting super interesting. I appreciate this, Rika-chan. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. How dare they even think of stepping into himself without saying hello to us. I'll make sure to teach them some manners. It's had only been 5 minutes since Rika-chan apologized to everyone and broke the mood down, yet our morale was already at its peak again. We're up against such an absurd conspiracy, but if we're together, I think we can defeat it. This is the best feeling ever. And you was the one who started all of this. She's quite the promising newcomer. She knew exactly whom among us to get motivated first. Moreover, while even our senior members were hesitant about taking on such a huge opponent, somewhere in their hearts she alone remained unflinching and raised our spirits. She's likely to grow even more formidable in the future. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for believing me. Of course we believe you. I told you that already. If we didn't, we wouldn't be your friends. There's no need to thank us, Rika. Yeah, she's right. Listen to Hanyu. You got spirit. I like you. Alright, well, I rubbed Hanyu's head. She left us if I was tickling her. Okay, then let's huddle. We have to get things organized. First, Rika-chan and Satoko are supposed to be absent from school because they're sick, but in reality, they're hiding here. This is just a preventative measure that nobody would even guess who are hiding here, thanks to a certain Nakasaka. how nice of him he came because of the promise he made 5 years ago. That's kind of cool. Hey, you know, I'm just a little jealous. He isn't my type, but I'm a little jealous too. Meep, it's not like that though. He works for the public safety at the police headquarters in Tokyo. He belongs to a secret unit, right? And that sure sounds reliable. Being part of the secret unit makes it sound even better too. Akasaka is very strong. He's definitely reliable. But Akasaka-san's role is more protective when in case of emergency. Tomoteru-san has the more important job of finding out things about our enemy. He's our true attacker. Plus, he's the only one who can call in the Bloodhouse to take out our enemies. In other words, Tomoteru-san's our key to victory. It's a bit unsettling to think that so much is riding in the hands of a dumb cameraman. Everyone teased her by saying they're going to tell Tomoteru she called him that. It's not that I don't expect him to succeed. I just think we should come up with another tactic just in case. But Henyu, what else can we do rather than count on Tomoteru? No, Henyu's right. Tomoteru-san is a key factor from the enemy's point of view too. If they find out he's investigating them, they might even have him killed. This is enemy territory for him too, after all. I think we should come up with something else instead of just depending on Tomoteru-san. Very true. It's hard to score with just one trap. I usually set up many traps to deal with many different possibilities. That's a basic trap tactics, you know. That's true. There's no need to limit ourselves to just one angle of attack. We should look into other methods besides what Tomoteru-san is doing. But we don't know anything about Tokyo, do we? Well, if one of Tomoteru-san's important jobs is to summon the Bloodhounds, I'd like him to teach us how to call them. Then even if Tomoteru-san is taken up by the enemy, we can still meet our victory conditions. Yeah, that sounds about right. Tomoteru-san is really important. At the same time, he's our Achilles heel. Let's talk to him and make him tell us how to contact the Bloodhounds. Problem is, he's holed up somewhere in the city and there's no way for us to get a hold of him. I think that's a great idea, though. The next time we get a chance to talk to Tomoteru, let's ask him. So that's the first plan. Is there anything else? Before we knew it, Henyu was making sure we moved along with our proceedings. We didn't notice giving him a pleasant smile to the girl trying to be part of our group. This one is just insurance in case something happens to Tomoteru-san. Let's think of a different angle of attack. What about something that we would help in investigation? Oh, how intriguing. Well, launch some kind of trap, grab them by the tail, and thrust proof that they can't talk their way out of their faces. What? They can't talk their way out in their faces, okay. Wow, what a perfect trap situation. If that's the one they want, we're not using it as a decoy. It's dangerous, but they're caught on the other enemy, so they'll definitely fall for it. That's really dangerous, but that would prove Takano is on us after Rika. Have them see her and make them chase her. They could lead something interesting. That's where Satsuko's Hills come in. Once they go up there, they'll be in a big trouble. You said it. Boy, will that be a sight to see. This is going to be great. That should be the final method we use once we're barricaded in the hills. The situation will change quite a bit. This should be our last resort. She's right. The traps in the hills are great as defense measure, but that's all they can do. They can't attack the enemy for us. The barricade on the hill is our last resort, huh? The very final resort. For when the enemy attacks this location, we have no other choice but to leave. By the way, we have an underground tunnel leading out that's connected to the well in the back. Wow, your house is an amazing Mion. Oh shit, this is really getting crazy. The enemy is a mysterious organization. We have a secret operation, a secret base, and now a secret underground tunnel. Wow, this is just the sort of thing that gets a guy excited. Oh, I'm not a bad guy, but I'm excited. Okay, now we have 2 ideas. We'll come up with more. Can we think of anything else? Let's see, we want at least one more. That's the one. That's another defense tactic too. Is if they're more aggressive. That's perfect for our club. You know, some way to hit them real good and not some blow that'll set back their conspiracy. Can we pull off something like that? Yeah, I'm sure we can. Not as powerless as you think we could. This is not like we don't have cards to play. You're the ultimate objective and you're here with us. That's one crucial card on our side, and not just in the sense of using you as bait. That's true. It's a huge disadvantage for them. We have the Queen Carrier. I mean, what's their go? Kill Rika Chen, trigger the emergency manual to eliminate the whole village, and use that chaos in their internal faction war, right? Yeah, to them, Rika is just like a fuse on a stick of dynamite. They want to set that dynamite off, cause chaos, and use that to gain something for themselves. So if we keep it from exploding, we win. That's going to be pretty rough. You're right. We have to continue defending her, but all they have to do is kill Rika-chan in any way. It's like a soccer game with only goal on only one side. To denounce this unfair game for what it is and call it in the Bloodhounds is the point of Tomotake's operations, right? Is there a goal for us though where we defeat the conspiracy? There must be something. Sometimes it works to think from the opposite point of view. This is one. Neon started to grin in a weird way. Here she goes. The winds are blowing stronger on her side, and she's getting into her better than top form. Neon is pretty smart. She's great at analyzing situations. And that's why when Rika-chan first told her everything, she immediately decided that there was no way for us to win and became depressed. However, while Mia's easily crushed, she also was able to exhibit incredible power when the wind's on her side. We created that tailwind, and now her cell is receiving the push it needs. Let me confirm this one more time, Rika-chan. The emergency manual was designed to prevent all the villagers from going insane within 48 hours to your death, right? Yes, that's its purpose. Rika has never died before, so how do they know if something like that will happen within 48 hours? She's right. Yeah, she's really strange. How can they say for all sure the villagers will go crazy within 48 hours? Well, according to Takano, something similar apparently happened in another country, and that's where they got the 48 hours from. I have no idea, though. Actually, Eric said he doesn't understand it either. Could it be? I see. Oh, I know another weak point. I see it too. Yeah, that's right. This is their blind spot. What are you two talking about? I don't get it. I don't get it either. Yeah, hey, Rika-chan, why don't you understand? Why don't we put the last person to figure it out through a punishment, huh? How about you, Henry? Have you figured it out yet? Yes, I have. That's why Rika is important to Takano. Oh, well, that's a hint for you, too. Here's a hint for me as well. The enemy's intention is to cause a disaster in Himisawa. They intend to do so by using this emergency manual. In other words, this manual is in fact the enemy of Chili's heel. I didn't want to cough. Oops. Meep. I don't get it. If you apologize for everything you've done to me, I'll tell you. No way, stop that. I want to concentrate. What haven't you figured out yet, Reina? Listen, our attack depends on Tomotake's son, and that's our Achilles heel. On the other hand, the enemy's attack depends on the emergency manual, so if we destroy the foundation of the emergency manual, do you see, we just have to make the emergency manual lose its function. What is the meaning of the emergency manual? Is it supposed to hide the existence of the syndrome by making it look like a disaster? So that's why they have to wipe out the village within 48 hours. What's the enemy intends to do, at least? So you're saying we just have to stop them from executing manual within 48 hours. But those 48 hours don't start until I'm killed, so I need to outrun them before those 48 hours. Meep. Hey, you two already saying the answer. You good? Let's see the answer out loud. Everyone ready? Here we go. Rika-chan has to die 48 hours prior. We all said it, and you just said, boy, we're good at this. We never messed it up. I know, I got it too. Rina and Rika-chan clapped their hands together. They finally figured it out. Why did it take so long for us to come up with this? I don't know, we finally got it. We should come up with this on our first try. We've only been speaking only in dismissive terms, so I thought you might never think of this idea. Listen to you. I love you even more, Han. You, in recognition of your achievements, I'll award you our club special order cross manual. Medal manual later. Anyway, let's talk about this operation. Their goal is to execute the emergency manual. Hidden in that goal is actually a huge weak point. The foundation of the manual is the notion that the villagers will go crazy within 48 hours of the Queen Carrier's death. In other words, if nothing happens in the 48 hours after Rika-chan's death, then the foundation of the emergency manual collapses. That's it, to say the least. Nobody really wants to do such a terrifying thing. But if they don't execute the manual, the villagers might go mad and spread to the surrounding communities. They hesitate to execute it, but they want to keep the damage to a minimum. But what if they find that Rika-chan's body 48 hours after her death? A major premise that the villagers will lose their minds within 48 hours of the Queen Carrier's death will collapse. Fortunately, Rika's hiding here, so it's possible for us to lie about her death. The last time Rika-chan was seen was yesterday at school. It will be 48 hours after that, and the early morning of the day after tomorrow will be perfect if her body is found around that time. I see it's possible for the fake Rika-chan's death with the help of that Oichi-san. Indeed, we'll ask Wishi to send out and announce that Rika's body has been found, and that has been at least 48 hours since her death. Well, it might create some issues if it announces it publicly, so we could just let the Area Institute know. Coach is on our side, so it should be possible to deceive them. That is, what an idea. Once the emergency manual loses its credibility, such a horrible operation will never be approved. In other words, the weak points of the emergency manual on Rika-chan. Huishi hasn't agreed to help us yet, but I know he will. Ooh, this will be such an amusing trip. I can just picture Takano-san running around in panic. Takano believes Takako and I are in sick and bed at the cult, but she hasn't actually seen us. She's just assuming this is true. But as it turns out, we were somewhere else, and suddenly my body shows up having been dead for over 48 hours. This is going to be super thrilling. The masterminds will have to accept the failure of the emergency manual withdrawal, and that's when the hunters become the hunted. By that time, Tamatake's-san will have found out about something about the enemy. He'll call in the bloodhounds to defeat them. That's our go. Alright, I can spell the victory from here. Man, how perfect is this? This is all going to work out, I'm sure of it. We all encourage each other with the hip hip hooray. This is definitely getting really, really interesting. Still, what's his key is that the claim of Rika-chan being dead for 40 hours is believable. For that, we'll need Iwishi-san's help. Okay, guys, I do need to take a few minute break now. Okay, so I am back. Nice break. As right as we thought, about asking him, he arrived at the Sanazaki residence. Oishi-san knows that Rika-chan is hiding here. He also knows that some members of the Mountain Dogs have infiltrated the police station. They've even wiretapped Rika-chan's phone. So the safest way to contact her, he figured, is in person. I saw Dr. Ari earlier tell you that Akasaka's doing just fine. He's grown a lot in the past 5 years, so hold on to the fort. Oishi-san loosened his tie while drinking his barley tea. I bet he never thought he'd end up drinking a glass of barley tea at the home of his old enemy, the Sanazaki family. So Oishi, what do you think of our 48-hour operation? I think it's a pretty good idea. I'll shake them up quite a bit in their panic. They'll make mistakes for sure, and that will give Tamatake's-san the chance to give the drop on them. You know, it's really a great strategy. They say two heads are better than one, but with all the young minds together, you'll have to come up with a fantastic idea. Oishi-san laughed at admiration and assured us that the operation would definitely make an impact. However, he hesitated a little too. This is a pretty sink or swim, you know. Whether we win or lose, I'll have to take responsibility. I'll do my best to pull out the splinters, but if I don't do a good job of it, I'll end up pretty deep. I have to resign myself to that. In our 48-hour operation, Oishi-san ends up bearing most of the responsibility, and the police are a strict organization. There's no guarantee they won't investigate. Oishi-san is planning to retire this year. He needs his pension in order to pay off his mortgage. He's also a very delicate point in his life. While this is a big deal for Rika-chan, it's a lot to ask of Oishi, too. He has to risk throwing away everything for our sakes. Shit, this is an operation. It's a great idea, believe me. But I just can't. Oishi, if it's too much, you don't have to accept the part. We don't want to win by using you as a sacrifice. Nobody knew what to say to him, but he broke the silence. She's full of energy during our club, but at times like this, she's also has the power to heal the hearts of those who are hesitating and growing weak. It's like being enveloped in a mysterious embrace. If her appearance matched her level of maturity, and you probably look like a mother. Besides, we're members of the most powerful club in the world. Even if the 40-hour operation can't work, we're sure to come up with another strategy right away. Right, Mion? Yeah, that's right. I wish you could say no more, okay? You can say no, okay? We shouldn't have gotten all excited over this flaming, considering your situation. Yeah, that's true. I'm sorry, Uchi-san. Whisper to me while watching them talk. And Chen is good at this. We could say no when a cute little girl says stuff like this to them. And what do you mean? Is that what Henry's trying to do? She's even more sly than I am. As Wishi moaned and groaned, Henry looked over and grinned wickedly at us. I take it back. This girl, she really is sly. Henry was more dangerous than I thought. Next time we do a club activity, I'll really have to watch out. Please let me sleep on it. There's someone at the station I really trust, so I think I'll discuss it with them. Don't worry, he wouldn't rat me out. If I agree to this, I can't make any mistakes. So before I do, please let me take over the chance of success. Oishi-san never makes promises unless he's sure he can keep them. That's why he speaks cautiously, but considering his position, it was certainly a decision that required courage. Don't worry, Oishi. Even if you lose your pension, we will take care of it. We won't, you? I will. Meet, if he's going to help us, we have to do that for Oishi. Meet. Huh? Well, despite how I look, my family is pretty rich. We got 2 sly foxes. Our club's going to be the epitome of a free-for-all in the future. The meeting ends with that. We'll find out if we can go ahead with the 48-hour operation or not by tomorrow, depending on Oishi-san's answer. We haven't heard from Tomotakeru-san yet, but I'm sure he started his investigation of Takano-san. The coach and Akasaka-san have to wait patiently, each surrounded by the enemy. They're both in very dangerous situations, so I'll just have to pray for their safety. And then there's Takano-san. I'm still having a hard time believing that she's involved in such a vast conspiracy. If someone told me the whole thing was a lie, I might even believe them. That's why I want Tomotakeru-san to investigate. She's mysterious and a bit cold, but she could be fun to be around too. Also, I have always thought of her as one of the villagers. It hurts more than a little to suspect one of your own. I can understand what Tomotakeru-san is going through. It doesn't have to be an investigation to confirm her guilt, and instead I wanted to prove that she is not guilty. It's too painful for her to doubt. Too painful people to doubt another. Blah blah blah. Hello. Sorry for making you call myself the first lieutenant Tomotakeru. That's okay. Did you find out anything? A background investigation usually takes a few months. It can't be rushed within a day or two, but Tomotakeru senses something that he just started to make his move after what Rika and others told him, and that's definitely getting closer. But once it was close enough to see what it could be, it would be too late, and that's why he was checking on the progress so frequently. We're still investigating Major Takano as we speak, but she took a position in the Alphabet Project. Her background was already investigated by a different department, so we requested those documents to be handed over. The entire team is investigating what she's been doing since the time since she joined the project. Please give us a little longer. I understand, however, the situation is urgent, so please work as quickly as you can. Yes, of course. By the way, we got an emergency order to investigate the Art Institute today, unrelated to your request. It's a top priority now. The Chief of Staff requested it. The Chief of Staff, and is it related to my request? Yes, well, it's supposed to be a separate matter, but from what I can see, I think it's a powerful boost in the top towards your investigation. The Chief of Staff is helping out. What does this mean? The only thing I can assume is that the top members of the JGSDF have realized the danger of the conspiracy surrounding the Art Institute. Like Rika-chan said, if the conspiracy intends to execute the emergency manual, then the opposing camp will try to stop that from happening. My request for an investigation is the first step in putting a stop to their plans. So if the masterminds were influencing the Chief of Staff, he probably would have shut down my investigation. But he's supporting it instead, which probably means that the Chief of Staff isn't my enemy. In fact, he might belong to the opposing camp. No, it's hard to say if he belongs to them or not. He might just be under order from the ones pulling the strings of the opposing camp. If that's true, then the enemy has already noticed something. It's possible that they'll start exerting pressure soon enough. So how much can I find out before that happens? I don't know much about the top brass, but still for the Chief of Staff to get involved. Putting aside if Takano-san is guilty or not, I'm certain that something extremely big is starting to happen around the Art Institute. We're making progress. We're investigating the Institute. We haven't analyzed the data yet, but some of the financial records are suspicious. We don't know if it's a simple paperwork mistake or if someone's actually trying to juggle funding, but I have an expert looking into it. What do you mean by suspicious? Well, as you know, there's an account for the funds supplied to the Art Institute, but the numbers don't match up. It's possible that there's inflows or outflows of money that haven't been recorded. Besides that, there are questionable dates on some receipts for suspecting forgery. Funds are usually supplied annually. For example, if budget of 1 million yen is approved, the 1 million is supplied in April, and the facilities manages those funds so they can keep things running for 1 year. So depending on how they use that money, it's possible to have some left over at the end of the year. If they only use 9,000 yen, they will have 1,000 left. Then for the following year, they'll be told that they only need 900,000 yen. 900,000 should be enough. Furthermore, there should be 100,000 yen left over, so they should only need 800,000 the following year. Therefore, they only get 800,000 when April comes around, which is 200,000 less than the previous year. As some of you already noticed, the more leftover money you have, the fewer funds you receive the next year. Therefore, it's much to use up your entire budget. But some people try to get by until the end of the year, and if there's 100,000 yen left, they try to make it look as though they used up the money. And in fact, it's in a safe somewhere. They report they use exactly 1 million yen, and they get another 1 million yen for the following year. Yet there's still 100,000 yen sitting in the safe. This 100,000 yen is called a pooled fund or a slush fund. If they keep running with only 900,000 per year, then 100,000 will be added to the slush fund into the safe annually. And only a handful of people will know about that money, and this is how public funds get embezzled or turned into private money. As we previously mentioned, the Alphabet Project is using this exact trick, and certain masterminds are pulling in huge amounts of public funding. To avoid this kind of situation, there's an audit of accounts performed every year and oversight ensuring no one's fattening their pockets or creating slush funds. By the way, it's been said that the reason why civil engineering projects tend to start up at the end of the year so they don't have that 100,000 yen left, but that's not relevant right now. The point is that they have to work hard to get the funds they want. Which is an example of having some money left over, which is certainly not bad. However, it can also be possible that there isn't enough money. After all, they were only granted 1 year's worth of funds, so they can't delve into savings account like we do in our lives. That excess money just doesn't exist. Therefore, an estimate proportion never show more than exponential in revenue. If that happens, that means there's some extra money somewhere. Other than what was supplied. That's how slush funds are discovered. Tomotechi was told that this was still under investigation, but their institute's suspicious financial records could be either case. The former will be fine, it's quite common after all, but if it was the latter, there could be something quite nasty lying beneath the surface. In other words, it was quite possible that funding was coming to the Area Institute from someone other than the formal sponsors. To be more exact, there was a chance someone was interfering with the Area Institute by supplying funds. Tomotechi was having this man look into the possibility of Takano and the Mountain Dogs rebelling against Tokyo. While it was certainly possible for Takano to do so because of her personal investment in the research project, it was hard to believe that the Mountain Dogs could betray their employers out of sympathy. For the dogs to take part in Takano's conspiracy, a huge amount of money would have to be involved, and the discrepancy that Tomotechi's men had identified could be a sign of such. Hello? Sorry, I just received the port. You know Koizumi says, don't you? The head of the old Koizumi faction. He passed away recently, which led to the faction breaking up. Do you know anything about a personal relationship between him and Major Takano? Yes, I've heard about that. But did you know that Koizumi says the late Dr. Takano had a personal relationship? And no, I see. Now I know why Koizumi says I doted over Major Takano. This is very interesting. As a matter of fact, after Koizumi's death, since his death, his private accounts were liquidated, and they found so much draws made by Koizumi himself as the attorney who took care of his finances. It had been about a half a year before the Area Institute established was approved by the Alphabet Project. Then Koizumi used that money to make necessary arrangements beforehand in order to establish the Institute. No, his attorney took care of the money for that, so the withdrawal wasn't made for that purpose. It must have been a very personal expenditure considering that he bypassed his trusted attorney. So that could involve the relationship between Koizumi and Takano-san. Does that mean Koizumi supplied funds to Major Takano personally? Yes, that's what we think. We are trying to corroborate as we speak. Koizumi gave that money to Major Takano for purposes other than the necessary arrangements for establishing the Institute. So you're saying it's possible that the Major Takano was a huge amount of cash at her disposal to help instigate a revolt. To establish the Institute, Major Takano just stands with various organizations, but she did all that through the legitimate means. So if she didn't use any of her personal supply money, supply for that, whatever, she should have the whole amount at their disposal. I'm sorry, but what is the amount? 1 billion yen. What? I'm very close to Takano-san, but I had no idea she was so rich. Actually, she's rather tight with her money. She's never acted as if she had 1 billion yen just sitting around. But then that money isn't just money to her, it's a form of support from her dear grandfather's friends, so she had to save it for when she needed it the most. If the new board of directors had even a little interest in her research, she would have been used the money on them, but they simply laughed at her. So Takano gave up on bribing them. Instead, she decided to use it now because her research project was going to be terminated anyway. With 1 billion yen, it might be possible to bribe the Mountain Dogs. If she has her sponsors, it'll be even easier. Her grandfather couldn't complete his life's work, but she's playing a magnificent conclusion for it. Shit, those can't be her true intentions. Someone has to be deceiving her. Takano-san, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't notice your sorrow, even though I've been right beside you. So I'm assuming that we still ain't got no tips, which is really weird. Because I know there's an achievement for reading all the tips. Huh. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I will see you guys next time.